All right, folks, good afternoon and welcome on back here this Friday, August 12th. And to close out our week here, welcome on back for our afternoon meeting. Brian here inside our live trading room saying one more push, or needs one more push on that DKNG trade. DraftKings, great to see Brian, great to see Leda, Grant, Norman from up top, great to see Henry as well, loud and clear from all. Perfect. And for all of us back on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, great to see you folks as well. Folks, this is not your typical Friday. Hey, it's good to be wrong sometimes, right? Because you don't want to overshoot your expectations, again, especially for a summer day, especially for a Friday. So with that, it's better to have lower expectations. We could always get back in on the trade should the trade provide us that opportunity. And at least for all of us inside the trading room, for those of us that take our classes, phases 1, 2, and 3 of our stock trading course, you folks certainly know what that opportunity is, right? When a stock breaks through a big level on the way up. Now, with that, we're going to start off with the ALT stock here on the screen. This is one that we're pretty familiar with over the last 2 years with COVID. So this was one of those vaccine-related stocks that ended up pumping back in March and April of 20, right there, you could see. Pretty interesting because CODX was on our morning watch list here today. Another, COVID vaccine stock from back then. It's down over 30%. Obviously, different companies, different news perhaps that led to this ALT squeeze. But, this is my first time seeing this even up until right now. So pretty interesting. And another runner, this one actually we completely missed out on from the morning. That's okay because, like I had said, today was not your typical Friday. It was like marathon of different runners that were moving across the morning into the afternoon. Hell, right now as we're talking. So ALT, it's going sideways. It's, still pretty close to the highs compared to where it had opened up. I'll come back to this at the end. If we build up a shorter list or if this shows some more signs of life pushing up, I would love to put this on our watch list, at that point. But man, if it wasn't the EMBK here, it was the VEEE. And if it wasn't VEEE, well, UBX ran in pre-market. I mean, it was a dud after the market opened, but this UBX number 4 on my gainers list, this was the first runner that we caught today. So it was a whole marathon of different trades that we were able to call out. So really, let's just start from the top. We'll recap any of these moves that we had called out. Obviously, like this Embark trade ended up making a really steady push shortly after the market opened up. We weren't necessarily expecting that squeeze at the time. We called this one out much later on. But damn, even off of $1, this thing ended up providing us a ton of opportunity off the initial breakout, off the first test of support. Hey, it was a nice trade. Now, is this going to make another run into the close? I'm not as confident about that just yet. I'll come back to this if I need to at the tail end. Obviously popping right now. SPY just finally cracked over that 425, Brian. So, we'll see what comes of that move shortly after. I was thinking a hot take would be to see this really pull back into the close. Maybe we get the break above 425 first and then the big slam. So we'll see what comes of it. But, now we'll look at the VEEE trade, number 2 on the gainers list, still up over 66%. This one looking a lot more flat even compared to that ALT from before. Looks like this one, if anything, making like a series of lower highs. Hasn't broken down yet, but for right now, I'll pass. Let's see if there's anything looking better. So the UBX trade, like I said, this was the first runner that we caught early today in pre-market this morning. Popped up beautifully off of $1, ended up moving up higher off of the 160 level, if you folks recall. That was the big level in pre-market initially from that point, and then it kept going. Ended up topping off at the time right over 2, at least in pre-market, and then from there, obviously, it was a big dud after. So, once this really dropped off, you're expecting for this to either consolidate or for it to just continue to fall. So, we took our eyes off this one early on, and thankfully so. All right, we keep it going. GoCo. Actually, I haven't seen this stock in a long time. We ended up trading this like years back, probably before COVID. Go Health. It's pushing up pretty nicely right now as we're talking. Right, it's a cheapie, but I'll come back to it. Not really fully committed to this one either just yet, but we'll kind of cherry pick all of the ones I put on the quote-unquote side list here. For those keeping score at home, we have 3 on the side list, 0 on the main list. And that happens. That happens at times, especially in the summer, especially on a Friday. So with that, we keep it pushing. AEY, nice move up from this one actually early on this morning. So, it wasn't the big run that we would want, but nice little pop, pushed up pretty steadily at first. When the volume died off, we know what happened after. Ooh, this OPAD stock. This one's looking pretty interesting. What is this? Offer Pad Solutions. Don't know the company, but either way, gradual push up right near the highs. Great liquidity on the order book, 222. There's about a 19,000, 20,000 share order on the bid. So that's support for the meantime. All right, we got one. OPAD. We'll put this on our main watch list here to start. Looks good for right now. Honestly, I didn't mean to click on this one here. All right, let's keep it going here. LQDA, hey, another runner from early on this morning. We weren't on top of this one out of the gate at the opening bell, but ended up making the higher high roughly off of 7 and obviously exploded from there. So we had called it out from that point. Again, just another runner throughout the course of the day today. It pays to be inside the live trading room. It pays to be a student, more importantly. Now with that, BGRY. It's at the highs now. Don't get me wrong. It's exactly where you would want to see a stock here at this point. It looks like it ended up making a big push from last week on the 2nd. Went from 193 to 270. It's had a really tough time breaking that 270 peak from that point. I mean, the following days, it topped off at 278, 278. Right now, it's trying to make that squeeze above 270. Is it really going to run up higher? I'll come back to it here at the end. I'm not fully committed just yet. Again, for a Friday, summer Friday, and it's like not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute. So, tradable, but let's see if there's anything more noteworthy here. Detail, man, you might find a lot of stocks that look like this that are at the highs, but are just like grinders of trades. And if you're looking for that type of trade, then you probably shouldn't be in the trading room. I hate to say it, but we're not trying to trade the fastest mover in the world, but we don't want to watch the grass grow, right? Now, of course, that leads me to Viru. Viru from yesterday ended up making a big pop, broke higher today. Is this at all-time highs? No, not at all-time highs. Getting closer to all-time highs, it seems. All right, well, all-time high is back from early 21, topped off at 24.57, so still has some room to go, but obviously breaking highs across the last several months. It's pushing up very nicely here on the intraday, had big resistance off of 19 earlier, and now you could even see about a 15,000 share order on the ask sitting there. So definitely the Viru trade, for right now, we'll put this on our watch list. Definitely looks great. I skipped it. I don't know, maybe my scanners just kind of refreshed there for a moment. I was going to click on the Bobby J trade. BBBY ended up making a really nice squeeze across the early to mid afternoon. I'll tell you what, I was a little upset about AMC with that in mind. I really thought AMC was going to make that continued move alongside Bed Bath. And, it just goes to show that they don't trade 100% the same, right? I'm looking for just a nice correlation. But when this failed to run off of 26, we knew from yesterday on AMC at least that 26 was a key resistance. There was, a couple of larger iceberg orders that got filled there. So resistance should become support. It should. If it's not going to be support, if it's not going to run off of 26 going up, watch out. And I ended up taking a 5-cent loss on this trade with one of my students in a coaching call right off that 26. I would take that 100 out of 100 times given the potential of AMC and that level. But if it's not going to break higher, I'm telling you, there's only one other way it's going to go. If it's not going to make a big move up, it's going to make a big move. I guarantee it. I'm happy to take that 5-cent loss, especially looking at where AMC ended up landing here at this point. If it was shortable, God bless. That would be a great short trade for the afternoon. Now, getting back to the Bobby J trade, Bed Bath Beyond, geez. I mean, obviously, this one ended up going completely upward. You could say with the market, but obviously, AMC didn't make that same move. Do we happen to see continuation across the afternoon on this Bed Bath Beyond trade? Well, I'll tell you what, it's up enough right now. It is making lower highs. I wish it pops much sooner than later here from this point, but I'll give it a look. I'll put this back on our watch list for right now. BBBY. We'll see if this can make the higher high roughly off of 1275 coming up momentarily. You could see that there is a lot of volume traded roughly off 1265, 68, 69. So it really needs to kind of flip that area, if anything, into support, and then for it to break higher off of 1275 there. All right, what else we got? What else we got here? We got Kirkland's, not like Kirkland products, but Kirkland's ended up making a nice squeeze across the late morning, early afternoon. Another stock that took a huge run up over 2020 and then got clobbered afterwards. So this does have some dead cat bounce potential, some short squeeze potential, perhaps. You know what? I don't mind it for right now. It's pretty close to the highs. It's very tradable, Kirkland's. All right. Anything else looking good that's from the gainer side here, folks? Let's see. Well, of course, Peloton. And if you've been in the trading room over the last hour and a half, 2 hours, really since Brian had called it out at first, Brian W., one of our longtime members inside our live trading room, hey, he posted the news out on this stock. And I'll tell you what, hand up here, folks. I'm the first to say it. We don't trade the news. We trade the big money, right? Now, I appreciate Brian posting that news more than anything, because the news that came out on Peloton earlier today was that they were laying off 700 employees. Well, damn, that sucks, right? That's a huge layoff. What happens to a company when they do layoffs, folks? What's the reasoning for layoffs oftentimes? Brian knows this answer. Brian's probably in this trade with me still. Why do companies do layoffs? Janice says no sales. Well, perhaps, but ultimately, it's to save money. It's to cut back on costs, right? Oftentimes, and we'll talk more about this in our news-based phase 1 stock trading class coming up in a couple of months, but it's to say that when a company often does big layoffs, there's an interesting reaction as far as the day trade. Oftentimes, it does lead to a pretty good squeeze. So, that comes with experience and intuition of seeing this happen oftentimes. Hey, for all the times that this has happened in the past, I wasn't as reactant as I was on Peloton earlier after Brian called it out. But after Brian called it out, ended up pushing up. And from that point, once I got in, there legitimately has not been a single reason for me to get out. Now, I took half my profit already. I did take half my profit. I took half my profit at 1369, I believe it was. I got stopped out on the first half. I still have 500 shares left. Right now, Peloton looking incredible. I'm in from 1285 right now as my entry price. So we'll put this on our watch list for sure. Hopefully this makes the much bigger continued squeeze up. And if you look back on Peloton, we've seen this over the last 6 months at this point, right? Holy smokes, look what happened back from even 2021, from 2020 late. This stock took a huge hit, right? Big trees fall hard, but oftentimes those trees end up making a small little squeeze back up momentarily. Now, I don't know how long that will continue as far as this squeeze on Peloton. Certainly as a day trade, I love it. So we'll definitely put this on our watch list here for this afternoon as a day trade mainly. I would not look to hold into the weekend out of any days, but we'll see what comes of this trade heading into the next week. Otherwise, that is the only trade I'm in right now. All right, so let's see what else we got here across the afternoon. Before the meeting started, I did take a loss on NEO, a 3-cent loss on NEO, because I was anticipating the markets on pulling back. Obviously, they did not. So once it ended up squeezing a little bit higher off 21, I took a small loss. But that's where I say, and the only trade I'm in right now is Peloton. That's it. All right, let's hop on over to the losers list here. We got a bunch of crap here, and I honestly mean that. There's a bunch of stuff that's hard to borrow. So, oftentimes those are really difficult to get shares to short. Law down over 52%. So for anything down this much, perhaps there's some potential for a dead cat bounce, looking at how much this stock dropped from, I guess, 30 heading into the market close yesterday down to like sub 13. This thing's actually making a pretty good squeeze here right now, right? It'd be hard for us to not put this law trade on our watch list, anticipating, a continued move up here heading into the close. Would love to see it at least. This TGL is more of a gamble stock. This thing had a huge spread yesterday. That's the difference between this and Law. Law has a much more balanced order book. Little thin, but it is a lot easier to read compared to that TGL. All right, what else we got here? OLO. I skipped over PLXP. That is shortable, but pretty close to the ground floor there. OLO. We actually had this one on our morning watch list earlier today. Hey, with everything moving as much as it did, just to be transparent, I didn't even look at this after the open. Granted, it led to a little squeeze up, then a beautiful drop off after. It could have been a great trade. Now, hopefully, it could remain a great trade for us here heading into the afternoon. It's shortable. It's at the lows. That's the type of stock you want to see here from the loser side, much like the Law trade. Well, Law is actually dead cat bouncing, but OLO, for as much down as this is and shortable, you definitely want to see continuation on this trade. All right, we keep it going. We keep it pushing. CODX ended up making a bit of a shaky move after the open. I did catch this at first, didn't trade it, but I was just hawking it, watching it. It was a weird move, so I stepped away pretty quickly. Ended up bouncing from like 440 up to 475, but after that, did nothing. So we're going to pass on this trade here. Probably not going to catch as much from the loser side with the market up as much as it is today, right? Look at this. Another dead cat bounce today. Wow, this one ended up making a great push. If you go back to the morning meeting, folks, you're talking about a very specific price level. Give me a second here. We were talking about a very specific price level. Go back to the morning meeting. It's on our YouTube channel, recorded right at 12:55. Pretend this line's at 12:55. It's not letting me set it there. So right there at 12:55, we saw a strip of huge prints coming in, clearly either someone covering short or looking to load up for the big move afterwards. Either way, once it broke back over 12:55 here, there we go, ended up propelling to a really nice dead cat bounce from there all the way. It broke over 13, but then obviously heading into the late morning, early afternoon, it broke higher, broke above resistance from 13.10 at that time. Great trade. At this point now, it is pulling back a bit. It is tradable, but I don't know. The book map was looking very odd on this stock, and that was also something I was assuming was going to happen leading into the open, and that's exactly what happened. So it actually was a great trade. You were able to identify a couple of big levels off it, but it's still a funkier looking heat map for this stock. Don't have a need to put this on our list. No gun to my head right now having me put this on our watch list. All right. GMDA down over 10%, shortable. Not a whole lot really to it there. All right, folks. Let me see what you folks have for me. Anything up, down, left, right, more than 5%, type it in the chat board, please. Actually, let me go from bottom to top here. I think Norman wrote something just from right before on VCSA. We'll take a look at that just in a bit. Grant saying Mara at first, M-A-R-A. Let me get to crypto at the very end of this meeting. I'll do a slight little review, not specific to Bitcoin, but a chart I want to show you, something pretty interesting that correlates Bitcoin to the S&P. So with that, Mara is a crypto Bitcoin mining affiliated stock. This thing has been on a tremendous run since Bitcoin started to make a bit of a squeeze up. Mara's outperforming Bitcoin by far, but it's to say that this could still be a good day trade here heading into the close. I don't mind slipping this on our list for right now. The Mara trade, I might say that about a couple of stocks like Michael's DraftKings, right? It's up over 11%. I don't know if I jumped over this or maybe it wasn't up enough here at the time. Yeah. But DraftKings is looking very healthy, obviously, as a swing trade because Fausto was focused more on that as a swing trade. But of course, as a day trade, it's right near the highs. So looking at this is the part that just interests me more than anything, right at 2:35 Eastern time. It's not letting me go back. All right, give me a quick sec, folks. I'll make this worth our time here. I got to jump onto a coaching call to one of our students here coming up momentarily, but I would love to show you the DraftKings print that just came in. I can't show it to you on the time and sales. Maybe what I could do here is just, there we go. I think it's pretty clear to see where that big volume got filled right here at 2:35 Eastern time on DraftKings. I think it's pretty obvious right here, 2066. So why was there such a big print filled right there off the highs? Is that going to be the top? Or are we going to see DraftKings make a really strong break over 2066? If the latter happens, I think it'll be more towards 3:15, 3:30 in the afternoon. All right. But, DraftKings, I definitely find pretty interesting here heading into the close. What else we got? Right. I mean, Riot's actually been stronger compared to Mara, at least over the last 3 days, I think. The last 3 days, it's been pretty good. If I put Mara on the list, just know that Riot's going to go with it, right? So that's a great stock to follow in tandem. CHPT from Bill, and then also JMIA, more on the swing side, he's calling out. But I'll tell you, Jumia, my speech impediment. It's to say that this is looking pretty good as a day trade. It's a great swing trade, like Bill's pointing out too, obviously, but this looks pretty sharp. I like this JMIA. Good call from Bill on the day trade side, even too. Now, Norman up top said before, and this was from about a few minutes earlier, but VCSA high of the day right there. And thankfully, it hasn't broken anywhere since. Hopefully, a lot more left for us on this stock. Yeah, not a bad call. I mean, if anything, great call. So I'll put this right back on our list here, VCSA. All right. Let me see how many stocks I have on this damn watch list right now. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. I don't want to add any more, but if there's anything that is looking incredible, then I have to really move a couple things around here. I don't want to put out too big of a list. So let me just kind of skim through the side list stocks I kind of said I'd, look at the end. EMBK, and this one's doing garbage. Pass on that. ALT. If it pops later, we'll call it out. Right now, it's not showing much. That GoCo, maybe, but not a fan of the dollar stock or below dollar stocks as much. BGRY looks the strongest out of all of those that we have on the side list, but it's not trading a whole lot of volume per minute. So I'm going to pass on that for right now. Karen calling out Beyond Meat, BYND, good squeeze right now. Nice squeeze, but this is where we need to consolidate the watch list that we push out to all of us here in our room. If I put this on our list, I got to put 30 other stocks on our watch list. If there is something that is sharply moving right now, and you specifically have consistent success day trading that stock, I would want you to follow that stock. You know what I mean? But notice how I phrase that, though. I'm very literal when I say that. So if there's a stock that you're not like hammering home more often than not, and it's moving, probably better fish out there in the sea to catch right now, right? So that's all. That's where I say, hey, if you do well on Beyond Meat, probably follow it. Probably same for Brian on Laser, LAZR. It's up over 11%. This is at the highs, and it's pushing up pretty nicely. This might be something I end up slipping on our list here at the end. All right, let's see. We got OLO as we're continuing this meeting or finishing up. This is actually beginning to break down. It's hard for us to scratch that from our list. Well, as I've been talking, the OPAD trade unfortunately tanked. All right, this is where we can make a substitution here. Been flapping my gums long enough to do this. So we'll scratch out the OPAD stock, and we're going to put laser on our watch list. We'll do a little substitution in that regard. I like that laser trade. All right, folks, but aside from that, I got to jump onto a coaching call coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and then otherwise you'll have Rich on the mic from 3 to 4. If I don't catch with you folks here heading into the afternoon for all of us live inside the trading room, have a great rest of your day. Have a great weekend. It is great to be back here at CTU, so I'm sure I'll see everybody coming up on Monday. But for all of us on Facebook Live, YouTube, any questions that you have, feel more than free to send over my way as well. Josh@ctutrading.com is my handle. Always like to post that at the end of the streams, at least for us on Facebook Live, YouTube, or otherwise, if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below right there to get yourself started. But otherwise, folks, enjoy the weekend, and I'm sure I'll catch up with everyone, if not later this afternoon in our live trading room, then by Monday. Take care.
Today, you are in. Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.